Okay, I am here with Isaac Harker, the quarterback for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, number 16. Just want to say thanks for taking the time to do this. I know with things going on, things are a bit hectic, so we appreciate your time.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, we'll hopefully have you again during the season if we get one.
Mm-hmm.
So just right off the bat, I just want to ask, why'd you choose the Colorado School of Mines over any other potential schools you could have went?
Yeah, so when I was starting at Indiana State, I got to start my redshirt sophomore year, and I ended up playing pretty well and getting all conference. But that staff ended up getting fired at the end of the year, and the GA actually went to School of Mines to be the receivers coach once that staff got fired. A new staff came in, and I didn't get to play much that next year. I got benched in the first game. We went 0-11, so I knew it was kind of time to move on just because the staff wanted to go a different direction. But he always told me how amazing it was just because it was so like academic oriented, but at the same time, like the football team was really good and had a wide open offense. So it sounded like a dream come true. So as soon as I knew I was transferring, I was like, that's my number one school that I want to go to.
And obviously, I think you enjoyed your time there. You did pretty well when you played, and yeah, just kind of overall, like how was your experience there playing, and just what'd you think of Colorado and the football program?
Yeah, so I was a graduate transfer there, so I got one more year of football. But
Hmm.
what kind of like stuck out to me was they had some really, really good receivers who were older too, and they kind of took me along with them and were like, "Hey, you're just as much part of the team as these guys who have been around for a long time." So I was really thankful for that. And I mean, the offense was really wide open, so I got a chance to do a lot of hands-on adjustments and audibles at the line, and that coupled with just how amazing our receivers were, it was like you give them an inside fade when it's one-on-one. You throw it and get a high. I mean, we threw for a lot of touchdowns and a lot of yards that year, so it was just a blast overall.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, kind of off the topic a little bit, but if football wasn't your profession, what would you want to be doing?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I don't know. Sometimes I flip flop here and there, but I went to school and got my master's in mineral and energy econ, and I was mostly doing like coding stuff with econometrics, so like statistical analysis and like forecasting prices and things like that. So that's something I could potentially do. But at the same time, I love football so much that I've thought about just wanting to be like a quarterback trainer and doing stuff like that for other athletes.
Yeah, and one, I mean, you see a lot of guys around the CFL. They do that in the off season. Like Ricky Collins got his own training, and Kenny Stafford, Willie Jefferson's doing stuff. So, yeah, it's pretty big in the league to do that. Now, sorry, just lost a train of thought there. I'm curious why the number 16 in Saskatchewan? Has that always been your number, or does it have a meaning, or was your number taken?
Um, so this is a funny question. I'd always worn number 5, and that was like my number all through like youth and growing up into high school. And
Hmm.
then at Indiana State, I was a walk on. So like walk on, you don't get to choose your number. So
Yeah.
I was stuck with 14, and I stuck that out. I went to Mines. I got 5 back, got to wear 5, and then once I was in Sask, like you're like a rookie who's under the radar coming from a D2 school. I got stuck with 16,
Yeah.
and I mean,
Okay.
I've learned to love it, but it's just like I don't. It doesn't bother me one way or the other to wear
Yeah.
a certain number or not. So 16 has kind of become my number, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
cool. No, that's awesome. That's a cool story behind it too. Now, just talking about like you were wearing it as a kid, growing up, who was either an athlete or just a football player that you looked up to and idolized that you wanted to be like as a kid?
Yeah. So the love for 5 actually came from Reggie Bush's time at USC, just
Yeah,
because
that
he
was a
was
good
so
time.
electric. I'm sure I'm not really unique in that sense, just because everybody loved Reggie when he was running all around. But yeah, that was kind of where I like picked up the number 5. But the guy, like sports wise, that I really looked up to was Drew Brees, just because of his like small stature. It was him and Doug Flutie were the two that I really like
Yeah.
followed closely. So I had known about the CFL too, but it's just I didn't think I was gonna be. I mean, I'm still very short for the position at like 6 foot flat, but I thought I was going to be even smaller. So I was always looking up to those small guys who played quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's, I mean, Drew Brees is a great athlete, and we're going to see him have another great year this year. So, no, that's awesome. Now, just staying on football, do you have a favorite memory, like your first memory of football that comes to mind? Like just a favorite time of football in your life?
Um, there's a lot of really like things that just shoot into them. Like obviously last year getting to start and win that game to clinch the West final, like to win the West and get a bye and going into the West final was like surreal and amazing, and just like the support you got from everybody. And I got to play and played well and helped us. Well, I was a small part in that victory, but it just felt so good to be a part of the team that was winning the West. But I mean, all my time at Mines too was incredible. Just because we were really good and we were rolling, and I had so many really close friends who I'm still really close with today. So winning games and like our rivalry games is also a huge memory for me for
Oh
football.
yeah, I bet. Now, like with you being in Regina now, I want to know what you think of the city and in Canada. Do you have a favorite place to travel to, like when you're on the road?
Yeah, so Regina is actually a lot like the Midwest, so it's not like it wasn't any like culture shock or anything because there's a big farming community in Indiana, and it's
Mhm.
very rural in that regard, and it's flat and has a lot of crops and everything. So that was like I felt right at home, and also the people are so nice. It's incredible. You just you really do. It feels like you have a bunch of like extended family when you go up. And in regards to like favorite place to travel, Vancouver is so beautiful,
Yeah.
but I actually really love Ottawa just because when we went, they were having a big barbecue thing like that covered like 5 city blocks, just people from all over the U.S. and of Canada, and I was like, this is incredible. It was my very first
Yeah.
road trip. I'm like, I love Canada. This place is amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Now, what would be one of your go-to activities when you're not playing, or it's after practice and you're sitting at your place in Regina? What do you do? Do you game, watch movies?
Yeah, not a big movie guy. I got two really main hobbies that takes up most of my time, and one of them is guitar and music. So just playing guitar and learning new songs and stuff. I'm a big '90s guy, big grunge fan
Nice.
for music and that style of playing. But also, I like to play video games too, like puzzle games and everything like that. Just like kind of gets the mind going, but it's also like a little bit of a release.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. I got me and my son, we play Minecraft all the time. That's what he loves playing. So, do you have a go-to game?
My favorite games of all time are like the old school Paper Mario's, like on the 64 and the
Yeah.
GameCube. And one just recently came out on the Switch called Bug Fables. That's like in the same vein. It's like a spiritual successor to those, so it's really fun. Those
Oh,
are my favorite
awesome.
games.
Oh, that's cool. That's good
Mhm.
stuff. Now, you said you weren't a big movie fan. I was going to ask you what your favorite movie was and why, but do you have a favorite movie then?
Oh, I think I change it every time, but let me think of one. Oh, uh, easy one. I'm big into like skate culture because I used to be a skateboarder when I was younger, and like surf culture and things like that. So the movie Surfs Up with the surfing penguins,
Yeah.
hilarious. I love that movie. It's got great music in it too, so I like that movie a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one. Actually, and if you're into kind of the skateboard grunge era, you should watch, if you haven't, Mid 90s by Jonah Hill. It's on Netflix. It's
Oh, it
came
is.
out last year. Yeah, it's a really good movie. It's on Netflix in Canada at least, but yeah, good movie about a young kid in the 90s learning to skateboard and getting into trouble and stuff. So I'd recommend that one.
It sounds amazing. Yeah, I love
Oh,
like the punk culture and like everything to do with skating and like the brotherhood and the music and
yeah.
everything.
Oh, and it's completely just enwrapped in that. So no, you'll love that. You'll have to give that a watch.
Awesome. I'll let you know.
Yeah, please do. And I wanted to shout out actually you and Cody. You guys started a podcast recently, so do you just want to tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, so at the end of the season, I was just kicking around like the idea of possibly starting a podcast that was more like the initial like origin of the idea was like to do a quarterback club podcast. So to like have a different quarterback on every time and talk about their process and like this, that, and the other, and have them tell like inside stories and stuff. And
Hmm.
that kind of like morphed and transitioned into like, well, I kind of want to do something that's like really serving to the Canadian game and its rich history and things like that. And we haven't gotten too far into the history and stuff, but like to have it more focused on the 12-on-12 game up north and kind of tell stories and give fans an insight to kind of how we're just normal people who get to play like the best game in the world as their job and stuff. So that was kind of like, that's where the origin of the idea kind of took a turn, and that's where we are now.
Oh, awesome. And I mean, just from listening, it sounds like you guys are just having a blast doing it. So.
Oh, for sure. It's just, I mean, he's one of my best friends, like regardless of like football or not. So just to be able to talk with him, and it's fun. I hope it comes through when you listen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, did you guys know, like, did you and Cody know each other before you met up in Saskatchewan?
No, the first time I met him was the day before rookie camp started up in Sask. So we haven't known each other very long, but we're pretty close for the time we've known each other.
Yeah. And I just want to ask about that. Like you said, when you were younger, you knew who Doug Flutie was in the CFL and stuff like that. But how did your process come to the CFL? Like training camp in the States and you met Dickinson, or how did that all work?
So I thought I was going to be done with football in December after my senior year, just because I was small and from a smaller school. But just like the sheer statistics kind of jumped off at the page for SAS, so I was a little bit on their radar. And then I actually found Mike Davis's phone number online and sent him my highlights via text message.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome.
So I think I was on the radar. I sent that, and he's like, come to Houston, but I couldn't because I was doing a full course load of graduate classes at Mines and also training, so I couldn't go. But they followed me through to my pro day. I had a really good pro day, put up good numbers and threw well. And so they're like, I got a call from Jeremy O'Day a couple of days after, and he's like, would you like to come to mini camp in Vero Beach? And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. I want to go to Vero Beach to do mini camp. And I mean, there was eight or nine other quarterbacks there, and we just were all kind of competing for the last spot that was going to go into training camp. And we took the Wonderlick and things like that, and ran plays and got to be around the coaches. And I was fortunate enough. I played really well during that and got invited to training camp. So that's I got a call from Jeremy O'Day again after, and he's like, would you like to sign with the Riders, or are you like kind of thinking about the NFL? And I'm just like, I was basically like, no to the NFL. I want to go be a Rider. So it was a really fun moment, and just like something that I still remember really vividly.
No, that's awesome. No, that is so cool to hear. Just as fans, we don't get to kind of hear all that stuff. So it's just really cool to hear your experience and how it came to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll give you a chance too, if there's anything you want to shout out before we go here, if any products or anything you want people to check out for you or anything like that.
No, I just I don't have anything to plug really, but besides our new podcast, the Rouge Report, I mean, that's just something. It's a passion project, and it's a chance to try and connect with the great fans of the CFL, and because I know during this time there's not a lot of live entertainment going on and things like that, so we want to try and connect with the audience and everything as best we can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And last question before we go here, we're doing this on our podcast, just kind of our COVID activities and what's keeping you sane while we're locked up right now. So what are you working? Are you just having fun? What are you doing?
Yeah, so me and I've got a little brother. He's going into his senior year. He's committed to Cincinnati for baseball. So we've been training really hard together every day. And like my little sister helps me with like the mental side, like she'll like go through scripts and I'll visualize because I'm a big visualization person.
Mm-hmm.
So do that. We'll throw, we'll lift, we'll run, study the plays, and then after that's done, like we'll play can jam and go outside, swim in the pool, and just like it's been a really good time to like get really close with my family and friends and stuff like that. So that's what I've been trying to do, but I'm really anxious and itching to get back up and into Sask.
Oh, I'm in Musha, which is about an hour from Regina, but yeah, we're itching for some football up here, bad. I mean, last night on the Rod Peterson show, he had they did like a CFL. It was Riders versus Alouettes, and it was a sim, and it was like a video game, and they broadcasted it, and they did they were talking about it during it, and it was just like, this is all I get right now. But we need football. We need football so bad. So hoping you're up and we can get you guys moving back up here.
Oh man, I cannot wait. I'm just chomping at the bit to get back up and throw it around.
Yeah, well, and I mean, after the way the season ended, I'm sure you guys, the whole team is just ready to light the league up, and I'm I'm biased, so as a Rider fan, I'm very excited to see what you guys can do this year.
Oh, me too. We got such a great team, and the nucleus is all back, so it's the sky's the limit. We're just really excited to get back to work.
Yeah, and actually, one more question, sorry, before I let you go, but if you've been seeing what they've been talking about hub cities and stuff, and if there is a season this year, the Riders aren't hosting the Grey Cup this year. I want to know what you think of that model of the team with the best record in the season hosting the Grey Cup.
It's definitely not normal, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, it's like kind of like the All-Star games and some leagues down south have like some indication of whether you're going to be at home for 4 games out of the 7 and stuff. So it's like, man, the regular season just has that much more impact on whether you're going to make it and whether you're going to host. So it's kind of cool, but a little abnormal. And I'm sad that we're not hosting, but we still might be able to host. So
Yeah,
that we could get 2 in 3 years. So it's just like, yeah, just
fans
got
will
to
be
keep
okay
that
with
positive
that.
attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. No, just thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it. We want to let fans get to know you a little better, and this will help. So, thanks again, Isaac, and make sure you check out our stuff, and make sure you check out his podcast with Cody Fajardo.